yo, this is another episode of the Steven from the Old Time Podcast. Listen to my dad, he's awesome.
Welcome to a very special episode of the All Time Podcast. I am your host, the Ayatollah of Hip Hop, the whole damn show, and the Rated R podcaster. A cold Montreal night, but the artist that I'm speaking to tonight is from a place that's very warm. And my guest this evening has been called one of the most underrated artists in the underground. But I call him an elite MC, full of charisma, and one of the best minds when creating his albums. Always giving us something different, like directing his albums like Tarantino or Kubrick. The MIAlien himself with his new album, Event Center Racing, produced by Wahr Seasons. The man from MIAlien Shottie is here this evening. What's up, man?
What it do? What it do? Thanks for having me, my brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing the warmth to Montreal.
Hopefully I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I could do that.
Absolutely, man. Dude, I'm super happy to have you here, man. I've been listening to this new album for a minute now, and I'm super happy that you sent it to me earlier because there's a lot to unfold within this body of work that you put together. And when I introed you in, I meant it when I said that you really have a mind, a special mind when you create albums.
Thank you, brother. You had me at Tarantino and Kubrick. You know what I'm saying? You're speaking my language right there.
But you always put concepts together within your albums, man. And I think it's interesting for artists to do that than always giving us the same, bars, beats, stuff like that. And it's super cool to do that. But having something different within your albums and always giving us different sounds in the albums, I think is very important because it showcases you in a different light as an artist.
Yeah, I think I have like maybe a fear of stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like I try not to repeat myself. Whether it comes to my rhymes or the beats that I choose or the concepts. If I feel like I've done it before, then I'll try to go somewhere else with it. Just really, man, just to keep myself entertained too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as an MC, you have to, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
always doing the same thing, it kind of gets boring. It kind of gets redundant. But you've been doing this for a long time, and when you put your albums together, there's always something that sticks out to me, and that's the cover art. And
Okay.
cover art is always important because that's what attracts somebody like myself to be like, hey, what is this gonna sound like?
Right.
Like, let's take Alligator Alley for the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, just that picture kind of makes you wonder what you're gonna get yourself into when you listen to it, right? MIAliens.
Shout out to Stu Tender. Shout out to Stu Tender, man. She killed that one.
Absolutely. MIAliens. Like, what hip hop album has a cover like that? No, none.
Yeah. And that dude, A-Hall Sniffs Glue, he's not really a name in this kind of like underground space that we occupy. But back here, back home, like this dude sells paintings for fucking $10,000 type shit. Like this dude is a big deal out here in Miami. As a matter of fact, I think his artwork is featured in GTA 6.
Really?
Like one of those clips that came out of the game early or whatever. And I think at one point, I think a bus passes by and one of his murals is on the bus type shit. Like this dude is like a Miami fixture, man. Shout out to A-Hall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy. And just the imagery behind it. It's like, again, what are you going to get yourself into when you press play? Pulp
but
nonfiction.
To go back, and my bad to cut you off, but it kind of all connects to what you were saying before. Like I do approach my albums kind of like movies because I'm kind of like a little bit of a movie buff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I almost like think like a director when I'm creating these albums. I'm thinking of them like a movie. So by the time it gets to the time to come up with the artwork, the idea is already fully formed. So by the time the artist gets to, like, you know what I'm saying, starts working on the artwork, he's working with on an album that's already has a fully formed idea, he or she, you know what I'm saying? Um, so I think it almost makes it easier for the artist to to find like a way to attack the cover art.
Yeah, and it makes sense because you dig into the album and you always go back to that image and be like, you see, it makes sense. And getting into Event Center Racing, when you had sent me the record, I looked at the cover art and I was blown away because of just the imagery of you with the Powerboat racing suit.
Right.
And I just couldn't put together in my brain what I was gonna get within the sound. But then I pressed play and I went through the album and it all made sense.
Mm.
You gave and War Season as well gave that Miami, like, vibe to the whole album. And I haven't heard a Miami vibe type of album in a very long time
Mm.
because of artists always, tapping into a sounds from different areas. But you kind of you put that layer down and you made it happen. And that's why I want to know who put the album cover art together. Who had the idea? Was it you? Was it the person who put it together? How did it come about?
So the cover art was Stu Tender, who she did Alligator Alley for me,
Okay.
and a couple other things. We worked together a couple times. But on this one, we were very specific about what we wanted, and the idea really with this whole project was to capture like that era, the 1980s, a lot of excess. Powerboat racing is about excess. Like these boats cost $1 million each. You know what I'm saying? It's very much like bigger than life. And the 80s kind of harken back. Specifically, what we were going for is those old T-shirts that had like an athlete on them, and it was kind of like a collage kind of thing. Like I remember the Dale Earnhardt one was like a popular one. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? That's
Yep.
kind of what we were going for with this whole aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? So when we approached Stu with like for the cover art, we had a color palette in mind that we wanted. We had a very specific idea. We had very specific intention. Um, so again, I think we gave her a jumping off point, a pretty clear jumping off point. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like too many revisions before we finally hit what we were looking for. It was like pretty instant. Like she understood exactly what we wanted, and that's what she delivered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she did an amazing job. And it looks like you mentioned, like those old school vintage type shirts, sports
Right,
shirts, but
right.
also a card. Like
That too.
I collect
Mm-hmm.
cards, and I remember back in the day, the old school look of a card would have an image
Mm.
like that on it.
That's a good point, bro. I never even thought about it like that.
So yeah, it sets it off super well with that artwork and the colors also. Like you mentioned, there's colors in there that are very attracting to the eye.
Yeah, and very Miami,
Yeah.
which is what we were going for. You know what I'm saying? Even like I'll tell you, like the few revisions that we have was we kept sending it back because first she did the cover art and the boats were just like plain white boats, and I was like, nah, if you tap into like that old like powerboat era from back then, like their boats were extravagant, bro, yellows and you know what I'm saying, bright blues and pinks and shit, a bunch of shit. So it's like, nah, man, the boats got to be a little louder, you know what I'm saying, to reflect the era, So yeah, we were definitely going for that exuberance, that you know what I'm saying, bright Miami, give it that Miami feel.
Yeah, and it makes sense. So the concept of the record, the powerboat racing, just that whole Miami culture within the powerboat racing, what made you want to go into that direction?
Right. So I think this bears some explaining of like War Seasons, of his like process of working. Right. So
Okay.
when he hit me up, he was like, "Yo, I want to do like an album, but the way I do albums is uh, I don't send you a beat pack. You know what I'm saying?" He's
Hmm.
like, "We come up with a concept, and then I go off and produce the entire album, like without vocals. But I'm talking about when I say the entire album, I mean fucking interludes, The songs have titles. Like it's the entire album, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So, I was like, okay, well, that sounds like a challenge. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like something different. And then it took us a couple tries before we finally settled on like the powerboat racing idea, which was his. You know what I mean? And once we agreed on that, he went off and produced the entire thing, bro. I woke up one day and I had the whole album on my inbox, bro. Um, yeah, and that includes like song titles and all that other shit. So it was a different way of working. You know what I'm saying? So like
Hmm.
ultimately, like he's the one that came up with the powerboat racing concept. For me, the challenge was how do I, I'm not a powerboat racer in real life. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, how do I relate this to my life now?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, I made the whole thing like power boats as kind of like a metaphor for life or for the rap game even. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I'm a dude that I can relate to some of these power boat guys. You know what I'm saying? I used to be in this rap shit a while ago. I kind of like left it alone for 7 years, and now I'm making my comeback, so to speak. So it kind of feels like an athlete's journey in a way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I really once we agreed on the concept, like I really started finding a lot of connections between the powerboat racing and real life. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way I attacked like the writing for the album.
Yeah, you could tell within the songs. It's kind of you and what you've gone through. And there's a couple of songs where you kind of like really hit it, where it's like you kind of put yourself in that mindset as a powerboat racer, right?
Yeah.
And it shows like just like finish line, how emotional finish line is. And you kind of made me think of like, okay, this is where I really understand the album now is he's putting himself in those shoes, right?
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
finish line, having to race throughout his whole career and where he's gotten to and where he is now. Just
Mm.
so I'm happy you explained it that way because now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, for sure. And like I think the big lesson, if the album has a big lesson, is like, man, it's about the race. It's not about the finish line.
Hmm.
That's why in the song I say I don't believe in no finish lines. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not about the finish line, bro. It's about the race. Because once you hit one finish line in life, as anyone would know, you another finish line comes up. You know what I'm saying? And you got a whole new race that you got. So it ain't about the finish line, bro. Once you hit a finish line, all you're gonna do is get another one. You know what I'm saying? So it's about the race, man. You got to enjoy the process. You got to enjoy your time here. You know what I'm saying? And pedal to the metal while you're
Always,
here.
always elevate yourself to the next level.
Absolutely.
War Season is from Miami.
That's the crazy part. No, man. He's from the West Coast. He's from Long
Really?
Beach. Yeah. He's from
Okay,
Long Beach. I mean, you listen to the album, you would think he's from Miami, but nah, man.
that's
The dude,
crazy.
he's really like a mad genius, bro. When he told me when we agreed on the concept or whatever, he really did go off for like a few months, bro, and like just in seclusion. I don't know if he went up to like the mountains of Bolivia or so. I don't know what the fuck he did. You know what I'm saying? But he reappeared 4 months later with a fucking album, and not only with an album, but like with a deep knowledge of powerboat racing. You know what I mean? Like he didn't even want to like send me the whole shit. He wanted to have like a big conversation first. It was like a process with him. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, he kind of put me onto that shit. And then when it came time to like to write to create the album, I started getting into the powerboat racing shit myself, bro, to the point where I have playlists on my YouTube shit. You know what I mean? I literally sit there and watch like 1980s powerboat racing. I watch the whole events and shit like that because they used to broadcast on ESPN and all that. But yeah, we both like immersed ourselves in that shit, and it's kind of interesting, man. It's like this little pocket niche sport that you didn't really, it's never like a mainstream sport, but yet people like Chuck Norris were fucking racing. Don Johnson was a powerboat racer. Kurt Russell, you know what I'm saying? Then you had like drug smugglers that were, guys that later ended up like it turned out they were drug smugglers and shit, but they were like champion powerboat racers and shit. Like, bro, it's a crazy, crazy little world.
Do they
Donald
still
Trump was out there and shit. Like, bro, that shit was
really?
wild. Yeah, he used to fund some of the races, and he would be there and shit.
And they don't do that anymore, do they? Is it still a
Uh,
thing?
they, I think they do. I saw some like recent ones. I think they do, but I think the golden age was in the 80s. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. And you know what you guys are doing with that is making people like myself or people that listen to the album kind of get interesting in that whole powerboat racing because it's something
Yeah.
like that we're not accustomed to seeing or nobody really talks about that. So it's interesting to
Not in the hip
invest.
hop space. Not in the hip hop space. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
don't hear about that shit in hip hop. I think somebody pointed out to me today that Currency has an album about like speedboat racing and shit. I didn't
Uh,
know. You know what I mean? But I
yeah,
think he
he
has an
does.
album about that. I haven't heard it and shit.
I don't think it's really like he really touches on a lot of it about the powerboat racing, but I think he has two records where the cover art is a
Hmm.
cigarette boat, and then he
I
has
think that's the one. That's the one that people. Yeah, yeah.
yeah
Supposedly that's kind of like the concept of that album too.
yeah it's a small EP with Harry Fraud. But to be honest, when you put out the record and when I listened to it, it kind of brought me to that. And Currency always used to kind of tap into that Miami sound, but kind
Mm.
of really brought that New Orleans style to it as well. But it's not the same sound as what War Season gave you with these beats because you're telling me he's from Long Beach and he gave you this. That's
Yeah,
crazy to me. That's
that's
somebody
crazy.
that literally did his research, and the samples on here are just incredible. Like there's stuff on here that you don't hear anymore, right? That 80s jazz fused.
He played most of that, bro. There's some samples in there, but he actually played most of that shit.
That's genius.
I'm telling you, bro. The dude he's out there.
Like he
Yeah,
infused the Miami lifestyle sound.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
Man, props to him. That's a brain that you need to study. That's somebody needs to study that brain and how he put this album together because I think it's phenomenal in the way he did it.
yeah.
Um,
He's a mad scientist.
I want to get into the songs. A lot of standout tracks on here. Starting off with 92 Key West.
Okay.
Uh, love how it intros the music. Very smooth. Kind of gives you those guitars. A lot of guitars on here and kind of sets that mood to the album. And then brings you into Aqua Blue Camo with the cuts from Swab. I thought that
Mm.
was brilliant. I thought, and you're telling me he put those tracks together in order?
Yeah, he's when he sent it to me, it was already in sequence and shit. You know what I mean? It was like one big movie. And so my job was just to fill it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just those two tracks, just the way he started off the album and the way you came in perfectly on there and kind of set off a mood for it. Then we get into Pray for You. And that's a song that I've never really heard you rap that way or
Okay.
even that style of beat, right? So how did
Mm.
you feel getting like that kind of a track for you to be able to work with?
Yeah, a lot of those, like the first couple times that I listened to it, um, I kind of wondered that myself. I was like, okay, how am I gonna attack this and shit? I remember showing it to my partner Rich, the homie that I do Father's Day records with, right? He and he said the same thing. He's like, "Yo, this shit is dope, but how are you gonna rap to this?" I'm like, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But yeah, that one, "Pray for You," was one of those ones. But also at the same time, it was like I remember when he sent it, he was like, "Yo, this is one of my favorite ones right here." So he kind of put the pressure on me, like, "Bro, you got to come with her on this one." You know what I mean? I'm like, "All right," but yeah, ultimately, I like how it turned out.
Yeah. And that's why it's a standout track for me. It's just the whole production aspect around it. And when we had spoken the first couple of times I heard the record, I found the beginning of the album very experimental.
Mm,
Still had Miami influence on it, but very experimental. And then once we got to Smuggler's Run,
hmm
which has Money Mowgli and Asan Eastwood, then it started getting very powerboat racing, right into Offshore Drift. That is one of my, even though you're not on there, just the interlude itself,
No, it's crazy. I love that shit. It's
like
crazy as hell.
it brings you into another area, and it just makes you feel like it gives you that feel to it. And again, something I haven't heard on any of your other albums,
Yeah,
right? So again, you're working with a lot of different instrumentations on here.
definitely. And he did a lot of shit where he would throw a beat in there for like, 30 seconds and then just fade the beat out and then just go into like it's a lot of it's like you're on your toes the whole time, bro. Like
There's
he's
an
keeping you on your
outro.
toes.
There's an outro to the beat.
Right. And it's
There's
a
like a
whole
beat
different beat.
switch. Yeah.
Right. And it's a whole different beat. And then he only lets it run for like 20 seconds. You know what I'm saying? It's wild, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Phenomenal job. Let's get into Smuggler's Run featuring Money Mowgli and Asan Eastwood. I know
Yeah.
you guys have Money Mowgli is somebody that you've worked with numerous amounts of time, but also Asan Eastwood. And I know you've been up to Toronto. Is this a track that you guys did together in the studio?
No, to be honest with you, the album was done and then Asun came down to Miami and we were riding around listening to the album and that was way before we dropped it. It was like before we even dropped Goat Farm too. Um, and he was like, "Bro, I gotta get on this album, bro." He's like, "Man, any space that you got for me, you know what I'm saying?" Like he responded to it that much. And Asun's one of my favorites, man. Asun's like one of my favorites, bro. The dude's a killer, you know what I mean? So I thought, I listened to it again. I was like, yeah, I think Smuggler's Run is the one. And man, he fucking bodied that shit. You know what I'm saying? Both
Yep.
them dudes, man. Him and Mowgli fucking went crazy on that shit.
Mowgli, the way he comes onto a track, man, is so smooth, but yet so rugged. And he always does his thing on songs.
Yeah, and it's unmistakably him.
Right?
Yeah.
He you spoke on here March 2024, you became a changed man.
Hmm.
Speak on that.
Yeah, that's when my son was born.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's when my son was born. And what was cool about that shit is if you listen to Ason's verse, he did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did
So
the same thing. And our sons are actually both they're not that far apart. They're maybe a few months apart. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, because I think his is, if I'm not mistaken, later on, maybe August or something like that. I gotta go back to listen to the song, but
I think it's December
or December.
or the September or September. I don't remember.
But yeah, but I caught that, and that's amazing. So that's your son. That's your first kid.
Yeah, my first biological kid. I have four stepkids.
That's amazing, man. That's
Yeah,
amazing. And a son plays with that stuff, right? He probably heard your verse, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna add this to make everything link together.
he's such a smart songwriter, man. Every time I send him something, he gets it. He understands. It's actually very impressive, man. Like he understands what the essence of the song is every single time. Because we have a bunch of shit together. We have an album coming out too, us too. You know what I mean?
That's
But
crazy.
every time I send him some shit, I'll have like a little like mini hook kind of thing on there, but I won't explain. I never explain anything to him, and he always catches it on. You know what I'm saying? And then he'll do his own version of the hook, or it's like he's a smart writer, man. I really enjoy working with him, bro.
Yeah, and you're a smart writer too, because throughout the album, just those things that you pick up on, you guys are in the same limelight because you guys are really smart writers, and that's why you have a mind to create an album like this.
Yeah,
It's not
thank you,
for
man.
everybody. It's not for everybody. Um,
No,
so Bob Kaiser, before we speak on who Bob Kaiser is, Pro the artist, the difference that was brought onto this album with that hook, that catchy
hmm
hook, and the
hmm
way War Season used those keys, gave that extravagant kind of sound from the 80s with a flavored mix of jazz, funky jazz.
yeah, yeah,
Another
for
highlight
sure.
for me on here.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that hook from Pro, like really brought shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it really, if that's an element that the album needed. And I gotta shout out War Season too, because he one, and I give him a lot of credit for this, right? when he gave me the album and shit, he definitely had ideas for what he wanted me to do on certain shit. And, for the most part, I just did my own thing. And he gave me the space. Like, he held back from even telling me some of his ideas and shit. And he let me do what I thought should be done to the songs. Like, in other words, he kind of stepped back and let me, once he delivered the music and shit, he let me do what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I give him a lot of credit for that. And like putting Pro on there is an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had that vision when I listened to the beat. I was like, that one right there, I want to give my man Pro on it. He's gonna sing. At first, War Season was like, I don't know, singing. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, like he trusted me to kind of like craft the songs and shit like that. And I think, yeah, man, that's why the album. I think that's why the album is so dope. Because look, it took a big level of trust to trust him to deliver 14 songs. You know what I'm saying? It's hard enough, like when a producer sends you a beat pack, bro, it's hard enough picking out a whole album's worth of songs, bro, that all mesh together. Like that's not an easy thing, bro. So I'm trusting this guy to send me, the whole album in one shot. You get what I'm saying? Which is
Yeah.
like, that's a different level of trust. So, I was just grateful that he kind of returned that trust when it was time for me to do my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Pro the
He
artist.
didn't question me about the features. Sorry to cut you off. He didn't question me about the features, about, what I chose to do on certain tracks and how I chose to rap on certain tracks. Like he completely trusted me with that. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and he sees you as an elite MC, you could tell, because you did your own thing on here. And having somebody like Pro the artist on here to sing, that people might listen to the record and be like, wait a minute, this is different. This sounds really exquisite on here. This makes sense on this part of the record at song 7, right? Because you're halfway through the album.
Mm.
So, and Bob Kaiser, he was a powerboat racer.
Yeah, he was like I think the reason like we gravitated towards Bob Kaiser as like kind of like the main character of this piece is that world was filled with so many personalities. Like I said, there were famous movie actors, and then there was like drug smugglers and this and like, but Bob Kaiser was the guy that was a purist. He was just about powerboat racing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there was something pure about that shit. And I think that's why we chose to highlight that and not, Sal and Willie, which is kind of the story that everybody knows, the cocaine cowboy shit, or highlight Chuck Norris and fucking Don Johnson. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
famous actors. We chose to highlight the guy that's really a purist, a guy that's really about the craft. You know what I'm saying?
And you by you saying that, it kind of goes hand in hand with you being a purist in hip hop and being somebody important within the space of hip hop. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I think I was to an extent like playing the character of Bob Kaiser on this album.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Showpiece Exquisite, another amazing track with horns. Love that. Another
That to
standout to
me is
me.
the song. That's the beat that most personifies like that beat. You listen to that beat and you look at the album cover and it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like that's the most blatant 80s Miami shit on the album. And I'm gonna tell you, that's the one that I was the most excited about when he sent me the music. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to that one. Because by the way, I recorded everything in sequence. Or
Wow.
I created everything in sequence. I started with track number 1 and I went down. You know what I'm saying? So there was beats like later on the shit that I couldn't wait to get to, but I kind of forced myself to wait. You know what I mean? I did the whole shit in sequence.
That and Offshore Drift. Those two together is basically the album
That's
cover.
that's exactly it. Yep. That's the album cover right there. That's
Yeah,
the
and
whole aesthetic, the colors, everything.
yeah. And then Apex Warpath, which is a power boat, right?
Right.
84. I think that's when they made that boat. It was
The
in
Apache.
84. The
Yeah.
Apache, yeah, I think it's 84 or 81, one of those years. That song sends you off into a different level on here. And amazing, amazing. It's kind of like there's like an intro, and then there's you in kind of like a demon voice at the beginning where you play with your vocals, man. That was killer on here.
I'm
That
glad you
stood
fuck with that.
that stood out.
That's what's up. I'm glad you
That
fuck with that. I
and
thought I was in my mind. I was doing like more like some West Coast shit. That sounded like some like West Coast, like
now
you
that
know what I'm
you say
saying?
it, you kind of
Psycho,
went.
like no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like the old corrupt type shit.
yeah. Actually, now that you mention it, it's exactly that. But I looked at it differently. Not getting a West Coast sound to the album, right?
Right,
So you
right.
playing again with your vocals, again, it's something amazing that you're able to do. And now
That's
that
what's
you
up.
explain me how you put the album together, you kind of heard that, and you heard that eerie, there's a lot of drums on there. There's a bass line. The bass
Hmm.
line is West Coast.
It sounds like a Dr. Dre, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying? Like the vibe of it sounded like some Dr. Dre shit to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And another standout track on here. Another one. Aqua Bruto.
Mm,
God in my heart, but the devil on my shoulder. I talk
mm,
to God in my prayers, but the devil always talks back.
mm.
Stood out to me. Something
Okay.
else that stood out to me. I know we skipped 2 songs, but I think number 12 is one of the most important songs on here because of that and what you said.
Mm.
Where did that bring you? And why did you go into that direction with that?
You know, when I look at this album now, right? Like, and the fact that I wrote it in sequence, the beginning of the album, the whole album, you could kind of compare it to Goodfellas, to the movie Goodfellas, right? The first like 2/3 of that movie is just pure adrenaline, and you almost like want to be in that world. You know what I'm saying? And then the last third of the movie, like the last act of that movie, is when it sobers up. And that's kind of how I approach the end of this album. If you notice, like the beats get a little slower, it gets a little more reflective.
Hmm.
So that's at this stage in the album, and I think because I wrote it in sequence, I was like, okay, this is the come down from the movie. We've already experienced the highs, and you know what I'm saying. Like now we're reflecting on the shit. So that's why I picked that approach. I talk to God in my prayers, but the devil always talk back. Because at that point, it's like the race is over, and I'm just sitting on the, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting on the balcony or whatever, and reflecting on the shit.
Yeah. And then we get into Prize Money featuring Maze Overlay. And
Word.
Maze Overlay, he has that voice where it's never too aggressive. It's
Mm-hmm.
perfect for the sound of the beat.
Yeah, yeah. Maze is another one that's one of my favorites, bro. And I had to put him on this album, bro. It was a must because I met uh, War Season through Maze.
Oh
You know what
wow.
I'm saying? Yeah, he's got a couple albums with him and shit. So yeah, I met him through Maze, so it was only right to get him something on the album.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense towards the end.
What's up? My bad, bro.
No
Sorry about
problem.
that.
And then it makes sense towards the end of the album on a track like that. And then getting into Finish Line, uh, perfect way to end off the album. Not too much going on in that beat. It's like an end of a movie,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's like the end of the movie. It can even be something where the sun is coming up, right? It's like 4 or 5 in the morning
Right.
type
Right.
of
Right. Right. Right.
beat. And again, I get that Miami vision. I get the Miami look of the city and what's
Yep.
going on, the water,
Yep.
the palm trees, all that stuff. It gives you that feel to it. It gives you that
Mm-hmm.
warm type of feel to it. Um, and what's amazing about the project is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't get a Miami Vice feel to it, right? A lot of people always kind of go into the
Mm-hmm.
Miami Vice feel when
Yeah.
they want to do an album like this. I get none of that throughout the album.
Mm.
I
I'm
re-
glad you mentioned that. We tried to avoid that. You know what I mean? And even like too many references to the 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 coke game and the drug smuggling and shit like that, because that's kind of like it's part of the history. You know what I mean? And obviously we have to mention that on the album too. We have a song called Sal and Willie. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
we have to mention that because it was like a part of this world, but it wasn't the whole world. There's just so many other elements to it too. But yeah, we deliberately wanted to avoid the Miami Vice cliches because it's like, it's one of the things for outsiders, bro, that are not from Miami. There's a few things that they know us for, the beach and like, like certain things that are like mainstream Miami and Miami Vice and the cocaine cowboys and all that shit. That's definitely one of the things. And, it's kind of been done to death, bro. So we purposely tried to avoid that shit.
Yeah, it again, it sucks to say it this way, but that is very redundant,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, seeing Miami in a different light with the powerboat racing is kind of a different view of Miami, right? I've
Right.
been I've been to Miami many times, and to me, when I get to Miami, like you mentioned, beach, the water, the malls. I'm always going
Mm-hmm.
to the malls in Miami because you guys have some of the best malls.
Right.
Uh, but powerboat racing was never something that I paid attention to. Now, when I come back, I'll look at it differently, right?
Right.
Now, I want to, because of this album, invest in watching powerboat racing on YouTube, like you mentioned at the beginning, because now I find it a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
for sure.
I think an album like this and how you guys put it together is super important. And having this at the beginning of the year is something that, hey, I'm going to listen to this summer. How
Mm,
even better is it going to sound? Right?
mm,
Because
mm.
of, I'm in the cold right now.
Right.
It's completely freezing. It's like minus 35, right? There's snow everywhere. I could listen to it because I can put myself in the mindset, but when it's hot outside, how is this
Yo,
album gonna feel, right?
War wanted to wait till the summer to put it out. I was like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you guys are
No
summer
way.
all the time, so right?
Right. That's the
But
that's the thing. Yeah, that's probably what it is. I take that shit for granted. I'm like,
yeah,
man, it's hot outside right now. You know what I
you guys are lucky. I just live in terribleness outside, but it's okay.
mean?
Um, is there any features that you wanted on here that you didn't get on the album?
No.
No?
With this one especially, like, I wanted all the features to be organic. I didn't want to do any features because this would be a good look, or I wanted all the features to be organic. You know what I mean? And yeah, everybody that I envisioned for the album, I put Money Mowgli on there 3 times because to me it's like powerboat racing is not like it's not a solo sport. Like you need a whole team.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we needed to have like a recurring character in this movie. You know what I'm saying? And that was definitely Money Mowgli. You know what I mean? And then like Salazar's family is, connected to that era right there. So this is like a true, like an offspring of that, of kind of like that era right there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I had to put him on there. And again, like Pro was something that I envisioned early on too when I heard that beat. I was like, yo, I got to get my man Pro on here to get that funky Miami vibe to it. Yeah, everybody, man, everybody on the album. A Sun was a very welcome addition. Last minute, I was like, bro, if there's anybody that what I'm saying that I'll make space for is definitely A Sun, and Maze, like I said, bro, Maze was gonna be on there regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, nah, I got everybody I wanted to get on there.
And it all makes sense. And the great thing about this project too is it's 43 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always getting 9 tracks. We're always getting 10 tracks. We're always getting smaller albums, 20, 25 minute, 30 minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I as much as I love those records because I put them in the car and I'm on the way to work or if I'm cleaning the house. But getting a like an album with this amount of time on it kind of again gets you invested in where the project is going.
Mm.
So but you do that with most of your albums, right? You never have really short albums. You always have long albums, right?
They always live around like 30 to 35 or some shit like that. And my aliens is longer for sure. That one's in the 40s. But they always like live around the 35 mark, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, this one it was 41 minutes, MIAliens. But
Okay.
again, they're still long
I feel like
albums.
they've been getting longer as I go
Uh,
as I go along, you know what I'm saying?
as long as you never do an hour and 15 minutes.
Nah, 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 nah. I don't have the patience.
Yeah. Um, the beat switches on the album is the last thing I want to cover on here.
Yeah.
Uh, you also rap on the beat switches.
Hmm.
Is that something you guys spoke about? Because I find they're so well put there, right? And
Yeah.
for him to to really change the beat, it's kind of like, hey, we're gonna tell a different story within this song.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's like it keeps you on your toes too. Like
Yeah.
one other thing about this album, that hasn't been mentioned is like it's not really like 16 bar hook, 16 bar hook. Like
Mm-hmm.
the structure of the songs is very different from all the shit that I've done before. You know what I'm saying? Not that
Mm-hmm.
I always stick to that formula, but this one almost has no formula. And I felt like the switching of the beats was just an extension of that. You know, there's a few that I didn't rap to, but some of them I was like, man, I gotta rap to this part. This is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Aqua Bruto, that beat switch on there was incredible.
Yo, that beat switch actually was the one time in the listening session somebody was like, "Yo, can you just run that one back?" Like they actually interrupted the album. It was like, "Yo, can you just run that back real quick and shit?" And we ended up running it back, man. But yeah, that beat switch that was like the craziest one when I heard it. You know what I mean? Because like it's such a departure from the rest of the album, sound wise, and even the bounce of it. You know what I'm saying? Like the it's kind of like double time almost.
Yeah, yeah,
So that was definitely the you know the biggest departure from that sound.
yeah. It's something, man. I'm super happy this project is out and people are able to listen to it. Are you guys gonna be putting out vinyl, CDs, tapes? Is there anything in the works for that?
So the vinyl is actually dropping in a couple days. You know what I'm saying? We sold some at the listening party.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh wow, the
you know what I'm
back
saying?
to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's coming out in a couple days. That's going to be directly from us.
Okay.
We pressed them ourselves and shit, and we're doing a little bundle where it's the vinyl and the shirt
Okay.
for $50. It's actually a pretty dope deal. You know what I'm saying?
That's not
But we're
expensive
gonna be
at all.
at all. So we're gonna be selling that shit ourselves via the Bandcamp,
Okay.
and then next month in February, fucking Press Collective is man. Press Collective is gonna drop some crazy shit.
Making a boat?
Hey, I wouldn't put it past them. You feel me?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, they're about to drop some crazy shit. They're gonna have CDs and tapes. So we got vinyl, CDs, and tapes. We got everything on this project.
I heard you talking. I saw a reel, or maybe it was on YouTube, about you talking about Spotify and music and stuff like that.
Right.
Uh, how important is it for you to always continuously put out the physical copies?
It's bro, it's crucial. It's crucial. It's crucial. Even though it's not like a huge source of income. We usually do well with the physicals, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But it's not like, you're not gonna get rich off vinyls and shit. But it's crucial to have that out there because it's how we get back ownership of our music, in my opinion. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Streaming platforms, you can't even look at it as like, you know, the as in like you're selling a product on streaming platform. You're not, bro. It's there to promote you and it's there for cataloging purposes, but you're really not going to make money on Spotify, bro, unless you're Drake or Kendrick or
Yeah.
something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, bro, we got to, even if it's little by little, we got to start taking back ownership, bro. And physical product is a way to do that. I saw someone in the comments, and not even to address comments and shit like that, because shout out to everybody, you know what I'm saying? But somebody
Hmm.
in the comments was like, "Oh, we gotta, you know, we gotta have fans buy digital copies."
Hmm.
To me, it's like that doesn't make sense because what value added is there to the consumer from buying a digital copy as opposed to the consumer could just stream it on Spotify, bro? That's a no-brainer. That's how I would do it. That's probably how you would do it. You know what I'm saying? You do it
Yeah.
the easy way. If you buy a digital album, and bro, it's nothing against digital albums. I'm cool with digital albums too. But if you want to have a product that gives value added to the consumer, you gotta go physical.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. It's something tangible. It's the one thing that like the physical can't. I'm sorry, the digital can't compete with, bro. You're holding the shit in your hand. You're looking at the track list. That's a value added. You
The
know what I'm
booklet,
saying?
all that stuff.
The booklet, yeah, everything, bro. The way the design on the actual disc,
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean? Like that's a real value added. Digital, a digital copy. People buy them because they want to show love, bro. Or if your shit's not on streamers yet or whatever, and they want to
Yeah.
listen to it. But if your shit's already on Spotify, they're gonna buy a digital copy just to show love, but they're not really getting any value added. They're probably gonna end up listening on Spotify,
Oh,
even having the digital copy. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
because nobody uses iPods anymore.
who the
Uh,
fuck wants to like take the MP3s and then like download a player for it and then just to listen to this album, bro? Let's be real. You know what I mean?
I still
But if
love
you buy
doing
the
it.
physicals, but we're purists. We're
Yeah.
not the average person. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm talking about the average consumer, bro. They're gonna do what's more convenient for them. But the
Yeah.
vinyl offers them something. You could fucking hang it up on the wall, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it has like a real tangible value and shit. So I say all that to say that yes, physical media is absolutely important for indie rappers, bro, and indie artists in general.
Yeah, and for me as a consumer, I always tell the artist, I think it's important that you continuously always put out your music in physicals because the digital, the Spotify, that can get lost any day, right?
Right. Right.
Something could happen to, and you lose that. But when you have a physical product in your hand, there's longevity in there, right? I
That's
could have
yours, bro. That's yours. You know what I'm saying? You're not just renting something for a period of time,
exactly.
right? Because
Yeah,
like right now, if you're paying for Spotify in a way, you're renting my album, right? But when
yeah,
you stop paying your Spotify,
it's done.
the album ain't there no more, bro. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
if you got the vinyl, you play that shit from now, you play it 50 years from now, you play it 100 years from now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and you're able to pass that down also to other people, right? If you like, if I ever give my CD collection away to my kids are able to go listen to that music or
Mm-hmm.
invest in and be like, hey, I have this. What is this in my hand? It's a CD. It's a vinyl. Okay, how can I play this?
Yeah.
Let me invest in it in that way. Oh, my dad knows all these artists. Okay, I want to go listen to what my dad was listening to. Instead of just being going on your phone or downloading it or using the Spotify, having that piece in your hand, that's art forever.
And I'll tell you something else. Having physicals preserves the art form of the album, of a recording album itself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
bro, increasingly as time goes on, music is not about albums, bro. It's about singles and on playlists. And so whatever songs you got saved, you know what I'm saying? I think having physical media preserves the actual art form. There's an art to making an album, bro. To like as War Season just showed.
yeah,
There's an art to making a complete piece from number one to number whatever, number 14. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a art in the sequencing and the interludes. That's an art, bro.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
made
And
that
we're
way.
losing that. And we're losing that. So
Yeah,
like with the physical media, bro, it's meant to be consumed as one piece when you got physical media, bro.
yeah,
Especially cassettes and vinyls where you can't just like easily skip on to the next song. With the vinyl, you got to pick up the needle and shit, but it's not like pressing a button and going to the next song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And look at playlists. I despise playlists. It's okay to have playlists. I don't have any playlists. I don't want to listen to my music in a playlist. If I want to listen
Hmm.
to one song because I wake up in the morning and the song's in my head, I'm just going to go press play on that song. Or I'm going to be like, hey, let me re listen to the album. And whenever the song comes on, it comes on. If I'm going to listen to Event Center Racing, ain't no way I'm putting any of those songs in a playlist because they don't make sense for them to be on a playlist. If I'm going to listen to pop nonfiction or my MIAliens, those songs were put together for you to listen to them in order. It's called a body of work. The artist made them that way for you to listen to them that way. Yeah,
Right.
it's okay to have a playlist, but we got to get back to the art form, like you're saying, of where I'm listening to the albums in complete, in order, one to whatever, right? Being able to pick up the CD and be like, oh, I'm going to put this on. I love the cover art. Let me invest, put it on and listen to it in the order that the artist wanted. Just look at this record. Like, I don't see myself listening to any of the songs just because I want to listen to one song. No, I want to listen to it in the order that you guys made the record.
Right. It was intended to be a long play. It wasn't like, yo, this song's a banger. It's not that kind of album. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
and a lot of your album, most no, none of your albums are supposed to be played just one song here and there and put on a playlist. You make your
Hmm.
albums like you make a movie.
Yeah.
And that's why I love listening to your project, because I can't just go in and be like, I'm gonna press play. I just got here. I'm gonna go listen to another album. No, I gotta listen to them front to back.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep you with me for 35, 40 minutes.
So before we move forward, your mind and the way it works in crafting these albums, you always want to make them with a movie mindset in your head.
I don't know that I want to. I think it just happens that way. I think it's like I can't. That's my default way of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know that it's as intentional as I would like to think it is. I think that's just my default. I think that's just how I think.
And that could be also because you're a big movie guy, right? You love movies, and you watch movies that, and you look at them for the directional way that they were made, right?
Yeah, I believe in stories, and you know what I mean. Like I'm a big writing guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I got into hip hop. I enjoy the writing aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy the musical aspect too, obviously, but I'm a big writing guy. And in writing, it's like, especially writing stories, there's arcs and there's climaxes and there's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't help whenever I'm making art, no matter what kind of art it is, I kind of always adopt or yeah, adopt that structure to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm writing a screenplay, that's how I'm going to do it. If I'm making an album, that's also how I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you could see with the way you give us these projects, right?
Yeah,
And like I mentioned, as much as I love Showpiece Exquisite, I'm not gonna just go listen to that song one day. I'm gonna listen to everything till I get to that song,
mm,
right? Because it makes
yeah,
sense to me in that way. So big props to you and the way you craft your albums and the way you make your albums, and War Season, and the way he gave you this project for you to write to it that way and how it came out.
right. Yeah, like if you want to watch like Pulp Fiction and you love the whatever the Jackrabbit Slim scene,
Yeah.
right? You're not gonna skip straight to that scene, bro. You're gonna put the movie on, and yeah, at some point that fucking scene is gonna come on, and that's your favorite scene. You know what I'm saying? But like, you're gonna put the movie on, bro, from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, every movie is like that. Like, you watch a movie from the beginning to the end, right?
Right,
And
right.
that's what happens. Like, it's the same thing for TV shows, and that's why I hate it when people ruin the end of a movie or at the end of a TV show. It just completely destroys the whole thing. But anyways, that's a different story for a
A lot
different
of
day.
time invested, yeah, just for
E-
you to fuck it all up.
exactly. So what else is coming this year? Anything you want to share? Any other projects in the work?
I got a project coming up with Mighty Healthy that I'm working
Oh
on.
wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Me and Mighty Healthy are finally locking in for a whole project. and it's sounding crazy. I got something with Asun. Me and Asun are I would say we're like 60, we're probably like 60 to 70% done. We're doing a project called A Tale of Two Cities,
Wow.
Toronto and Miami connecting. Um, and yeah, I got some shit in the works. You know what I mean? Definitely one thing that I want to get off this year is I want to make an album where I kind of curate it myself. That's one thing I haven't done. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll get all the dope producers that I know and shit, and put beats together and try to curate an album myself. You know what I mean? As far
Man,
as like the production goes.
I feel like you've already done it with a bunch of these projects, man. Your mindset when you craft these albums is something special, man. You should be proud of yourself for that, for real.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Um, so before we get up out of here, I always do this with my guests. We always do top five in 5 seconds.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, nobody ever does it in 5 seconds, but it's fun anyways. So for you, because you're a movie head, we're gonna go with your top five favorite movies of all time.
Top five favorite movies. That's an easy one. Taxi Driver, Pulp Fiction, Back to the Future, Goodfellas. Oh man. See, nah, I get fuck.
Wait till the other question. I'm gonna flip it
A
on you.
Clockwork Orange. A Clockwork Orange.
Your top five favorite alien movies.
God damn. Arrival, Close Encounters, um, Alien movies. The first Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman. Uh, Fire in the Sky, and what's the one with Tom Cruise? War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds was incredible.
Yeah,
That was an incredible one.
Spielberg.
Did you watch what's I think it's a Jordan what's that movie? It's out there. No, it's not out there. It's brand new. It came out. You don't see the aliens whatsoever. It's just basically the spaceship that comes over.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the movie, and I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't enjoy it. I'm gonna get you the name of it, but before that, your
What's
top
that movie with John Can? Is it John Candy? No, with that they're like stuck in like a bunker, and it's an alien invasion. You find out later on in the movie and shit. It's a fuck, man.
I'm gonna
Cloverfield Lane or some shit like that. Something Cloverfield Lane.
I wrote
That was a cool movie too.
I don't know why I wrote that and it says Spaceballs. It's definitely not Spaceballs. Uh,
That counts.
it does count.
I guess Star Wars is also an alien movie. I guess in
Is
some
it?
way. I mean, it's a bunch of aliens. I never seen a thing that looked like Yoda in real life.
The movie is Nope, not the John Candy one, the one that came out a couple of years ago.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, check that out. I think it's on anyways, it's on one of those streamings sites. I really enjoyed it. It's a Jordan is it Peele? Or is it
Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele. Okay,
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen that.
It's one of his movies.
That's an alien flick.
It's an alien flick, but it's not really an alien flick. You just see a spaceship. It's
Interesting.
it's kind of interesting. It's very interesting.
Okay,
It's more weird on the creepy side.
okay, I'll check that out.
And the last one, your top five favorite artists from Florida.
Oh man, like underground or like
Anything. It doesn't even have to be hip hop. It could be anything.
fuck, man. Trick Daddy, uh, Money Mowgli, Salazar el Tabaquero. Um, fuck, that's a good one. You got me there. I'll say you said it could be anything, right? So I'll
Anything.
say Michael Garcia, who's a director, and my man Jose Mertz, who's like a visual artist. He draws.
He's an artist.
So that's my five.
Amazing. And I gotta give you props because we had this conversation already, but being a Cage fan like myself,
Oh shit. Let's talk about it. Yeah, man. I fuck with Cage.
I grew up listening to Cage, Movies for the Blind, Hell's Winter, Depart From Me, all the stuff he did with Weatherman, all the stuff he did with LP.
Yeah,
That Definitive Jux those years of Definitive Jux were some of the
yeah.
best hip hop I listened to. And I kind of link it back with what's going now with the underground, like artists such as yourself that like to get out of the box and
Mm,
do different things with the sounds or with the music.
yeah.
But Cage, man, like
Yeah, his shit, he was so different that you couldn't help but like get drawn to what he was doing. You know what I'm saying?
as emotional and psychotic as his music was, we loved listening to him because he was different.
That was definitely a departure though. Like at first it was like a lot of, and I loved his old shit, but it was like a lot of shock value. And he would throw some real life things in there, you know what I mean? But at first it was a lot of just like try to be as crazy as possible. And that really, I guess back then I was like younger and shit. I was like more susceptible to that kind of shit. So it really fucking struck a chord with me. I was like, oh, this dude crazy. I fuck with this. You know what I mean? But as he started growing as an artist, um, yeah, it was like interesting to see him like open up and shit. It's dope, man. He's a really dope artist. I fuck with Cage, man.
Yeah,
He's
and
dope.
he used to do a lot of rock influence in his later albums, and
Right.
actually had the guitarist of Hatebreed, the metal band Hatebreed, that
Hmm.
kind of produced on his album Depart From Me. So I found
That was
that
a great album. The part for me was that one video that Shia LaBeouf directed is crazy.
right.
That shit is crazy, bro. Yeah,
And then Cage featured on a Kid Cudi album.
I seen that too. Yeah,
So it was good. It was a good those years were great for hip hop. And Cage is an artist that I always hold dear in my heart because I was in high school when that came out. So I was going through things in high school, right? I was growing in high school, and this music kind of was there, right? So
yeah.
it struck a chord, and it's always gonna be there for me,
The
always.
first time I ever heard of Cage was on the Source. I saw him on the Source magazine, and there was a picture. It was like a little blurb about him, about one of his singles, about the Agent Orange single, and there was
Yeah,
a picture of him with like some spikes coming out of his mouth and shit. I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Before I even heard him, I was like, "This shit is crazy." And then when I heard him, I remember my mind linked back to that picture, so it was kind of ill. I'm listening to Agent Orange, and I'm seeing this guy with fucking spikes coming out of in my mind. I'm like, "Oh shit, man, this shit really." Like you said with the Event Center Racing, how the album cover matches the song. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It was the same way. I was
yeah,
like, okay, I get it.
yeah. No,
Crazy white guy, got it.
exactly. Crazy
I'm
white
in.
guy.
I'm in.
Those guys, those Definitive Just guys were just crazy, all around crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for giving us the time of day. Thanks for sending the album. It means a lot. I was super happy that I was able to sit with this because I wouldn't have been able to give it justice if for a week. Uh, and there was a lot to unfold on the record, and I think you and War Season did an incredible job with this project. And I literally can't wait for 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line to see how much it holds up.
Mm. I appreciate that, man. And bro, I appreciate you sharing your platform and really taking the time to listen to the project the way it should be listened to. You know what I'm saying? And it was very deliberate that I sent it to you early because I knew I was going to do a surprise drop. So I wanted to make sure that with this album kind of has a little bit of weight on it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make sure that you could let it sit before we talked about it. So I really appreciate your time, bro, and you chopping it up with, and it's always good to chop it up with a Cage fan too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's not that many of us around these days. You know what I mean? But nah, man, it's a pleasure, bro. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much, man. And for all the people out there, please check it out. Event Center Racing, produced by Wahr Seasons. Shottie, thank you so much for being here, man. We appreciate you. We can't wait to see what else is coming up this year. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. We are out of here. Peace.